Guys, not that long ago, they released the Superman 2025 film on streaming and digital. Sorry, digital, not streaming yet. And people were wondering why it was getting such a quick release after only being in theaters for a couple of weeks. And James Gunn, director James Gunn, said that the reason to do that was because the start of Peacemaker Season 2 was going to lead directly into that, and it needed to tie in.
So people are coming after James Gunn right now because they think that he was using the promo for Superman to lure a young audience that includes a lot of children to watch the Peacemaker series, which is not appropriate for a child audience. This is far from family-friendly content.
And viewership is up. It is up 22% from the end of Peacemaker Season 1. And in typical modern-day Hollywood fashion, I didn't even remember it came out in 2022. Like,
it's been
3
ages.
years.
It feels like ages ago. But what caught my attention, because I'm not really in these online circles the way you are, is the costuming. What is this character's name?
I don't even know that character's name.
I have no idea what this character's name is. Maybe you in the chat can tell me. But they gave this character an absolutely insane costume with a sewn-in camel toe on the crotch. Like, what? Whose idea was this? Most of the responses were like, I think I'm too woke for this, chat. Like, this is a little bit too much for me.
It was referenced in the episode. So I did watch the episode because, yes, the big discussion around this episode, and I admit I wasn't actually interested in watching Peacemaker Season 2. I did like Season 1. I think I reviewed it at some point on the channel in the early days of this channel. I did enjoy Peacemaker Season 1. I think that John Cena actually has a unique skill set for this type of role. It's a more degenerate version of what his character in Fast and the Furious grew to be, which is like he's capable of childlike vulnerability, which is running contrary to his muscular frame, and that's supposed to be the dichotomy. That he's almost childlike in nature, good, well-meaning, he wants to do right by the world, but he has a degenerate streak, and it runs contrary to the large muscles that obviously John Cena has. And the problem is there's one scene that went very viral, and that was there is a bisexual orgy in the middle of the episode, and yes, it is in there, and people are rightly asking the question, you know, it's not like Superman came out and then they put this out and they said, you know, these are two separate things. He said he rushed the release of the Superman. Again, I don't even know if he has a say over this. I would say that Warner Brothers and David Zaslav have more of a say over when the DVDs come out or the streaming releases come out than even the head of the studio, James Gunn. But he said, you have to, you know, it leads into Peacemaker Season 2 because Guy Gardner and Hawk Girl are both in it, both members of the Justice Gang who were in the Superman movie, so they are connected. So you're taking kids who were funneled from a PG-13 movie into an absolutely degenerate show. And yes, it is on brand. It is exactly what Peacemaker Season 1 was like. There's nothing different about it. It didn't get made worse, though maybe there was, I don't remember if there was nudity in Season 1, but crude humor all over Season 1.
Is this supposed to basically fill the same space that Deadpool fills in the MCU?
Kind of, yeah, in a way.
Okay, that makes sense to me. This tweet said, MF spent 12 years calling the Snyderverse edgy and dark, but are praising manual suit camel toes, gay orgies, and every project being hard rated R. Yeah. Some of these tweets about James Gunn gave me a laugh because I already knew that he was a perv based on his past tweets. The way Gunn lured kids in with a preschool level Superman film, then baited them into watching Peacemaker Season 2 is one of the most disgusting things ever done in Hollywood history. To which this reply said, Peacemaker is a TVMA show and HBO Max has parental controls, so kids can't watch it.
Yes, but the argument that they would be making is that the whole point of a cinematic universe is like, oh, you need to see this if you want to know what's going on. Look, there's going to be a Green Lantern TV show coming up with, I'm assuming, more than just Kyle Chandler and the guy who's playing Jon Stewart. Like, there's going to be Guy Gardner in there. And to do that, theoretically, you would believe that they also have to watch Peacemaker Season 2, which does have a bunch of degenerate shit in there. I will say, like, if I was to distill my thoughts down on it, which is that I watched it because I knew we were going to talk about it because the discussion about the orgy was like something that was going around. In storyline, it makes perfect sense. The character of Peacemaker, after, spoiler alert, unless you watch season 1 or are planning to watch season 2, kills his own father and then saves the day, is going through a depressive cycle where he reverts back to very degenerate behaviors to numb the pain that he's going through. I can explain away why it's in there all you want. As somebody who is not particularly offended by having to see a bunch of vag and peen that I didn't want to see, but was not offended by, there's a million ways that it could be done without showing it, but that's not the point. The point was to show it because the character is degenerate.
Well, also because James Gunn thinks that slapstick orgies are funny because he has a terrible sense of humor. He is Reddit personified. The
other thing so if I had happened upon season 2 just being like, oh yeah, I'll watch it. I think that the James Gunn, because I do like his Suicide Squad movie. I did like Peacemaker season 1, but maybe because it felt like homework, the Reddit humor or maybe I've just grown up in the last couple of years. I don't know. But it didn't land with me in the same way. Some of it made me laugh, but it also could have just been the mood I was in. If I was in a better mood or a different mood, perhaps I would have been like, ha ha ha, he said fuck stick or whatever Vigilante said. Also, Vigilante is just Napoleon Dynamite.
If there's anything that has been done to death in Hollywood, not just DC, not just James Gunn projects, but Hollywood as a whole, it's two things: nudity and sex scenes and Reddit humor.
So this person said, there is no defending what James Gunn did with Peacemaker season 2. He wrote it. He directed it. This is on him. He needs to be fired. Well, the only person that can do that is David Zaslav. And with ratings up 22%, you're about to see that free market economy work its magic.
This is not okay for the DC brand. I will be canceling HBO. What are you thinking, Warner Brothers? And how were you okay with this? At John Cena. It is kind of surprising that John Cena, with his relatively squeaky clean image, would be involved in this.
I've always been told, and again, I don't follow wrestling anymore, but I've always been told that John Cena actually does have a very dirty sense of humor that runs very contrary to his squeaky clean image as who he was in WWE, the world's foremost grantor of the Make-A-Wish Foundation and things like that. You can be more than one thing because obviously when he's wrestling, he's playing a character. That's not who he is as a person necessarily, even if he does embody some of those qualities. And I'm sure there's already people, I can't see the comments right now, but there's already probably people talking about him kowtowing to China with his comment about Fast and the Furious. I laughed during the Justice Gang scene during the interview. That was the James Gunn humor that landed for me. The plethora, and I do mean plethora, of Bud Light bottles was absolutely intentional. Making Harcourt order a Bud Light at a bar before she gets before she beats up a bunch of men and then almost gets killed. No. There's, I'll pull up.
Well, it is product placement.
It is product placement, but it's literally everywhere. Like, that is a statistically large amount of Bud Light bottles all in one place at a biker bar.
I mean, I would think more of it if it were the actual Dylan Mulvaney beer bottles or beer cans, rather.
I also have an issue with the fact that, look, he is playing the Nepo card here even harder than most people. So his wife gets to stay in the DCU despite the fact that they retconned everything else because his wife is... plays Amelia Harcourt, Jennifer Holland. And now they're talking about Blue Beetle as canon to this universe. Why?
Like, no one even liked the Blue Beetle movie.
So this
other post says James Gunn had carte blanche to remake the DC film universe however he wanted, so he carried over Peacemaker and Blue Beetle instead of Superman and Wonder Woman and changed the tone from serious to slapstick TVMA orgy comedy. Just cancel James Gunn's DCU now. Another post says, to James Gunn's post, you knew children would watch this after watching Superman. You literally said the reason Superman went digital was for people to be able to see it so they can follow Peacemaker. Why is there an unnecessary 5-minute sex orgy scene in this knowing that children will be watching? Weirdo, you can't beat the allegations. And they have a bunch of screenshots of his past posts about sexualizing kids. In the past, he said... 3 men and a baby they had sex with. Okay.
Yep.
Another one said, just made a joke about ass R-wording my friend when she was asleep. Wondering which Disneyland character would be the worst to get R-worded by. I think it's Goofy. The Expendables was so manly, I effed the S out of my little P-word boy next to me. The boys are back in town.
He's the definition of like lame edgelord Reddit humor.
Like, I don't actually think that he's a predator, but he has one of the worst senses of humor.
So, but here's the thing. The James Gunn's real talent is his ability to blend that type of, and this is actually why I think maybe some people had a harder time with Superman, is that it feels like for him, he needs that Reddit humor to run contrary to the emotional through line of the story. And there is emotional through line here. In the story, basically, he goes through like the pocket dimension. I don't even remember how they refer to the pocket dimension in this. And he goes into this other realm where his father is still alive and his brother is still alive. And there is this really, really well done scene that John Cena knocks out of the park where he sits around with his dad and his brother, who don't realize that he's from another dimension, and has a conversation with them. And you actually see a good amount of pain register in his face at what life could have been like if his dad wasn't a racist piece of shit who killed his son and turned his other son into a murdering psychopath, which is what the joke is. I will always make fun of the first season of Peacemaker because they really did seem to have a bigger problem with White Dragon being a racist than they did with him being a murdering psychopath who turned his kid into a murdering psychopath. Like they're like, parents turn their kids into murderers all the time, but racists, hold the phone. That always felt like a misdirection there. But John Cena lands what he needs to in this role as this guy who's, yes, he's a degenerate. Yes, he has this childlike vulnerability that comes out, but he's also, his image, what he looks like, runs contrary to that. And I think it works. But the sense of humor is just not really, like, I feel like if it was reined in by even an R-rated movie, it would be better than the free reign of a TV show. I get the people that like it. They're not going to have a problem with it because it's their sense of humor. I'm not offended by it. I do think that there should have been some type of commentary made about maybe you don't want to bring your kids to this. Maybe a statement would have been good, especially given the fact that the movie was very much did better with kids than they expected it to. But let's face it, most people don't think superhero movies are for kids anymore anyways. They're for millennials.
No. Yeah. So. Well, didn't Superman have some bad language?
There was there was there some swearing? I don't even remember.
But there was certainly nothing on the level of an orgy scene. Was it actually 5 minutes long? Somebody said it was 5 minutes
The
long.
second I saw naked people, I started skipping through until I got to the end.
So how long was it?
I don't know. I don't think it was 5 minutes. But you should definitely not let your kids watch this show. No. It's sad too because it's actually one of those things where it looks like Nathan Fillion is having a lot of fun as Guy Gardner, but I will always think of him as both Richard Castle and Mal from as Richard Castle from Castle and as Mal from Firefly. So seeing him do this role, I guess if it's closer to either of them, it's closer to Mal, but not really. He's just a dick, and it's annoying that Sean Gunn gets to play Maxwell Lord. Like,
I have no take on this.
His brother gets to play Maxwell Lord. Nepotism. And also,
I mean, he even employs nepotism on himself, given that he was front and center for all of the press about Superman when no one gave a shit about him.
Nerdrotic started calling it Superman's James Gunn rather than James Gunn Superman. If I was to keep watching, and I don't know if I will, it would actually be more for Economos and Rick Flag Sr. because it's really cool to see Frank Grillo in the DCU, despite the fact that he was dunking on Marvel just the other day, which was nice.
Random question, but does James Gunn have hair plugs?
I mean, I don't know.
I was just wondering. It's just not a good look for gray-haired, old-ass James Gunn to be, how do you do, fellow kidsing, in all of the press for Superman alongside David Cornsweet, who should be the star of not only the movie, but also the press circuit.
And the thing is from everything that I saw from people, like David Cornsweat hit all the right marks as far as he's got his nerd credentials. He loves this stuff. He knows about this stuff. He's the perfect spokesperson to put out there. He's like
unlike
big.
James Gunn.
He looks like Superman. So
James Gunn is not the person who should be doing interviews. We know that.
Yeah. So, and he also said that apparently, like, he's like, the last 3 episodes of the season, like, they're bold. They didn't even do like the multi-episode debut. They just said, here's 1 episode. We'll have to wait and see. But he said the last 3 episodes are like a whole new season. I'm like, well, then why then? Like, what?
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.